Russia continues to demand harsh conditions in its negotiations with Ukraine, despite being the aggressor in the war. These demands include no foreign peacekeepers after a ceasefire, restrictions on Ukraine's military, and a ban on foreign military aid. These are clear violations of Ukraine's sovereignty. Let me say that again, Russia, which invaded Ukraine, is now demanding that Ukraine weaken its defenses and accept outside interference in its military decisions. These are not peace terms, they are power plays. This comes as former US President Donald Trump reportedly tries to push for peace talks. Trump has made strong efforts to bring Russian President Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table. But Putin appears to be using negotiation offers as a tactic to delay or avoid further sanctions. In one example, during peace talks held in Istanbul, Putin didn't even show up. Instead, he sent a representative who avoided serious discussion and made historical references to long wars, implying Russia is prepared to fight for years. This is a troubling signal. It shows Russia is not genuinely interested in ending the war quickly. Instead, Putin continues to escalate, using historical justifications to threaten prolonged conflict. Let's take a moment here. If you find this kind of global update valuable, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps us bring you more important stories like this. Back to the situation, Putin seems more interested in weakening the United States and its allies than in negotiating peace. Analysts warn that while President Trump may believe in persuasion, it may not work on Putin, a former KGB agent focused on power, not diplomacy. Now, let's talk about the territory lost. A large portion of Ukrainian land has been captured by Russia since the start of this war. This includes Crimea, which was seized back in 2014 during the Obama administration. At that time, the US response was mild, and many believe that stronger action back then might have stopped this larger invasion from ever happening. Ukraine and Russia have essentially been at war since 2014. While Russia now controls about 10 to 20% of Ukrainian territory, they have not succeeded in overthrowing the Ukrainian government or installing a puppet regime. This is important because it shows Ukraine's resilience despite being under attack for more than a decade. Some experts believe that if the US had provided Ukraine with major weapons and military training back in 2014, the outcome today might be different. That's a reminder of how early actions, or inactions, can shape global events. Another deeply disturbing aspect of this war is the human cost. At the start of the conflict, tens of thousands of Ukrainian children were kidnapped by Russian forces and taken across the border to live with Russian families. These were not just casualties of war, these were deliberate actions that tore families apart. And even while peace talks were happening in Istanbul, a Russian drone targeted a civilian bus, killing 9 people and injuring 7. This is part of a consistent pattern. Throughout the war, Russian forces have carried out indiscriminate attacks on homes, hospitals, buses, and neighborhoods, showing little regard for civilian lives. These war crimes and attacks make the idea of a peaceful resolution extremely difficult. Any peace effort has to recognize the brutality and injustice of Russia's ongoing military actions. To summarize, here are the key points. Russia invaded Ukraine but now demands limits on Ukraine's military and international support. Putin avoids real negotiations and uses delay tactics while continuing the war. Ukraine has lost significant territory, but its government remains strong. War crimes, including child kidnappings and attacks on civilians, continue. Many experts believe stronger early action by the US in 2014 might have changed history. This situation remains complex and dangerous. The decisions made by world leaders in the coming months will shape the outcome, not just for Ukraine, but for global security. Stay informed, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Your support helps this channel grow and keeps you up to date on important world events.